Hi, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
Welcome to episode 327, Net Sheets.
Woohoo! I'm actually really excited about this.
I mean, we haven't done a really nuts and bolts type of how-to in a minute, and they always get very good response because sometimes we just need people to talk us through exactly what to do. And that's what we're going to do.
And the net sheet is something I think that has been avoided for a long time.
Yes.
In many markets, it is required.
By law.
By law.
Which was fascinating to me.
It is becoming newly required in our market by law.
Okay.
I don't know if it's actually by law yet.
Okay.
But the Louisiana Real Estate Commission is making it a requirement.
Okay. For buyers and sellers or just buyers?
Just sellers.
Just sellers?
Yeah, sellers getting a net sheet to see.
Okay, but then like a cost sheet for buyers. We had people in the group saying it was like they had to do it for buyers.
Right.
Is that happening here? I need you to fill me in.
So I feel like with sellers, you have to have a net sheet to go over the offer.
I believe that, but that doesn't mean everyone does it.
Correct.
Okay.
But it makes more sense to me that a seller needs a net sheet. A buyer, I also think, needs a net sheet.
Yeah, we just call it a cost sheet.
A cost sheet, a fee sheet.
Because the net sheet means what the seller is netting, what they're making. Here's your bottom line.
Yes.
And then the buyers, it's like, what is your cost sheet? This is the total you have to pay.
Correct.
Okay.
And I am also excited about doing this episode because obviously here at Hustle Humbly, we pride ourselves on being the professionals. We are the boss of our business and we educate our clients and make sure they understand everything. But the place where most agents fall short is when it comes time to talk about money.
Yeah, with buyers and sellers.
With all the people, they just don't want to talk about the money.
It is one of the most important parts of your function.
And I am actually grateful for the law change, the BBA. I mean, I like that it brought money up front, that you have to discuss it with your buyer.
Right.
I think the buyers were being left out in the cold a little bit more.
They didn't understand.
No.
And a lot of agents hoped they never would because they like to pretend they were getting paid nothing. Like, I'm
free to you.
I'm free. My services are free.
Yeah. And look, we have 2 other episodes where we deep dive into
working with the buyers.
Yes. And talking to them about compensation. This is not that episode.
No.
But episode 232 is the buyer brokerage how-to.
Okay.
How to have that buyer consultation, go over how you get paid. And then episode 295, why buyers agents struggle to get paid. That was a good episode also.
Yeah.
So if you need a deeper dive, those 2 episodes would be good to refer back to this week to complement this one.
Okay, I love it.
But yeah.
And we're also going to hit a few listener questions at the end.
Yeah. Okay, y'all, we know you love a good deal, especially when it actually helps your real estate business run smoother.
And we have 5 days of deals coming for Black Friday week. Templates, systems, checklist, everything we wish we'd had when we started.
But here's the thing, the early birds get the bonus.
Yep, join the early bird list now and you'll get first dibs on every deal. Plus our task frequency list and planner page for free when you buy any deal.
And you'll be entered to win a listing critique on one of your listings. Head to hustlehumblypodcast.com/earlybird to get on the list today.
But first, let's just talk about what these things are. Do you want to do sellers or buyers first? Let's do sellers first.
Yes.
Okay, we're doing sellers first because I honestly couldn't understand how anyone has ever taken a listing without doing this.
I don't know.
I don't understand.
It makes me nervous, and here's why. Nothing is worse than making it all the way to the closing table or the day before when they are looking at the closing disclosure for the first time and they had no idea what to expect on how much money they were getting back or needed to bring if they were tight on money.
Yeah. And maybe that's why I'm super sensitive to it, because I was around in the time when a lot of people did have to bring money to closing. So you had to know the numbers, or else sometimes people, I can't. I don't have the money. Like, I'll just go to foreclosure. I literally can't.
I don't have
I don't have this money. Okay, so on your seller net sheet, I have taught this for years inside of agent systems. I am also often shocked that this is the thing. People are like, this is so helpful. Thank you. I'm like, again, what is
You
your
need
broker
it.
doing?
Yes.
But that's okay. That's okay. We're going to teach you now so
That's
that no
why we're
matter
here.
who's in charge of teaching you, we're going to teach you.
We are here to make us
Okay,
better.
so on my seller net sheet, I will hold it up. We're going to talk about this a little bit. It has 3 columns of numbers this is how I like to do it. The first column is the listing. So when you take the listing, what's the net? And then I leave 2 of them blank. It says offer 1 and offer 2. Okay.
Love
so
that.
they can, me, Katie, and you, Alyssa, are going to do that math for them and send it to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want the seller to understand that they got to do this math depending on what the offer is.
Yes.
And they can fill this in themselves what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to go down the list of what's in this column, doing the math, and then we'll kind of deep dive into each one. The very top for the listing column is sales price.
Yeah.
Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to do your realtor commission.
As the listing agent.
Correct. Then you're going to do seller closing cost. Then I have a line item for HOA dues. So if there's something where they need to like prorate a due, taxes,
mm-hmm.
concessions, loan payoff, and then at the bottom is their approximate net. Y'all, I'm also very careful when I fill this out to put the little approximate lines.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those little
mm-hmm.
squiggly equals?
Yeah.
Because we're estimating.
Yes.
We don't know for sure. We don't know exactly for sure. Now, another very important part of the sheet is at the bottom, I sign my name. There is a blank that says provided by, and I put a date on it.
Mm.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because these numbers are subject to change based on the market. If I go to their house and I provide them a net sheet at a pre-listing appointment and they don't list for 6 months,
mm-hmm.
they're nowhere near correct.
Yeah.
The price of the house could be higher or lower. So at the bottom, it has my name and the date, and I'm signing it. And underneath it says, please note all numbers are subject to change and are simply estimates based upon the date provided. Suggested sales price may change based on market data on the date of listing.
I think that's great.
Okay.
Why don't you have buyer agency as a second column?
I include that in my concessions because it is a seller concession. It is not a foregone conclusion to me.
I like to divide mine because we can look at each thing as a counterable item. So let's walk through using this logistically. Okay. So, Mr. Seller, we have received an offer on your house.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this net sheet and see how much money the offer would give you at the closing table based on how it's written right now.
Yep.
So they're offering $300,000. As you see, the listing agent commission is here. Your closing costs at the title company will be about this much. And they are asking for $10,000 in closing costs. And they're asking you to pay blank amount towards their buyer's agent compensation. And here's your loan payoff.
Mm-hmm.
All things considered, you will receive approximately this much money at closing.
Okay.
And so now we're going to begin our conversation with what's negotiable. What items can we counter? Should we counter? Like all different line items to be countered.
Okay.
So yeah, I like to divvy it up. I think they're 2 separate things and they're usually written on 2 different lines.
They are written on 2 different lines. The reason why I am lumping them together is because they're in the eyes of the seller, it's a concession to me.
Yeah, it is.
And I also, in the eyes of the seller, want to make sure they don't get so focused on the fact that they're paying for someone else's agent. I think that but do you what I'm saying?
Yeah, I want it to be as transparent as possible.
There are a lot of people listening to this who are going to say, the way ours is still set up doesn't even allow for us to counter that. Like they've already done the commissions negotiation before the offer came.
Okay. I don't want to get in the weeds with
I don't want to get in the weeds over it either. And that's kind of why I leave it as a total. You could break it out if you so chose.
Yeah.
But I break it out when I send it to them in the email when I have received an offer.
Yeah.
The seller net sheet to me is what I'm telling them to expect at the listing.
I see.
And I have underneath this concessions blank, it says amount to negotiate for price, buyer buyer's closing cost, buyer agent commission.
Yeah.
Like you could be any of these concessions. It could be asking for carpet, anything. It could be asking for a termite certificate. I'm not lining out every possible thing, but that's just the way I like to do it.
Yeah.
You could certainly make more lines if you'd like.
Just one more line.
Warranty, termite.
Yeah.
A repair allowance that you were doing in the beginning. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things you could put on an offer.
Well, I think you made a good point, and I do the same thing. When we receive an offer and I am sending it to my sellers via email, I always go to, you know how in the pre-listing email template, it has like a blank net sheet at the bottom. I copy and paste that and I include it at the bottom of every offer delivery. Actually, we have an offer delivery template.
Yeah, you do.
That's on there.
Correct.
So I'm basically like, here's the offer, how it's written. Here is the estimated net proceeds at closing based on this offer. Let's crunch some numbers and see what we need to do here. And when I get to this point, I'm always trying to encourage my sellers to focus on their bottom line, meaning what they're getting back at the closing table.
Yeah.
We don't because I have found, and some of it's generational. Like, for example, my last few sellers who were older did not believe a seller should have to pay any buyer closing costs on principal. And it was sort of something where they were very fixated on it.
Yeah.
And the net sheet was helpful because I was like, listen, I understand that it's a principal thing for you. I'm just trying to let you know that in our market, this is what we're seeing. And sometimes I even pull up comps, old sales, and highlight how much concessions these sellers paid to show you're not getting, tossed around by agreeing to this. It's just sort of what's happening in our market right now. But let's focus on what your money is in your pocket. Are you displeased with this net number? By how much? Well, I was thinking we would get at least $12,000 more, say. Then usually my advice on how to handle that is the less you can counter, I think it looks better. So that way you're not sending a counter offer with like 5 different things
that you're
being countered. So I try to suggest to them, if we can, of course, every situation's different, let's increase the price and not touch anything else. So that way, when I go back to the buyer's agent, I can say, hey, buyer's agent, thank you so much for the offer. In order for us to accommodate leaving the refrigerator, washer, dryer, paying some buyer agency commission, paying some closing costs, providing the home warranty, in order for us to do all these things, which we felt was probably pretty important to your buyer, we have only increased the price.
Yeah. We're giving you everything else you asked for.
We are giving you everything else you asked for.
I love it.
We hope that this pleases your buyer. I look forward to working with you.
Right? This is it.
This typically how that email goes. But the net sheet is there to remind them what's important.
Yeah. I am addressing this physical paper, the net sheet, only at the listing.
Okay.
Because in the offers, I'm doing this all in an email.
Same.
So I can change the lines to be whatever is in the offer in that email.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling the sheet back out and being like,
it's a guide.
Yeah. But it is a guide. And I think the important thing is I am using the comps, the market report, very closely when I'm making this guide. I am not blanket picking numbers, okay? I will go look at all of the previous sales for that house, for that neighborhood, the ones I think that are the best comps. And I'll be like, okay, well, it looks like these houses were on the market mostly around 60 days. It looks like they all paid between $8,000 and $12,000 in closing costs. It looks like they all came down on price $5,000. Like it's a mix of those things, right?
Yeah.
Then in my concessions blank, I'll be like, okay, well, I see that they're all paying $10,000 in closing costs. I see that they're all coming down $5,000 or whatever that mix seems to be. That's $15,000. I'm going to make the assumption based on all the recent offers I've seen that buyers agents in our market are asking for this right now.
Yeah.
And then I will put that in there. I'll be like, okay, well, we're counting for X% for that buyer's agent commission because that's what the market's doing right now.
Sure.
Then I'll put in, that's really it.
Yeah.
And then I'll put that all in the concessions line. And then I'll go back up to the tax proration line. And I will tell the seller, in this market report, it's showing the days on the market to be 60. So I'm giving you a tax proration to 60 days out from our list date.
Yeah.
That's how I pick the number in the tax blank.
Wow.
I'm giving it some thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's a house I know is going to sell right away based on the market, then I would only put 30 date. Like, then I would be like, well, we're listing on June 1st. I'm going to do your taxes through June 30th.
And I'll just be transparent because I love that we do it different. I don't always fill out everything.
Okay.
Like, I tell them it's important for them to know their payoff. And sometimes I need to know it or roundabout, but I don't get into the escrow and things like that. But I give them the formula.
Yeah.
And I do let them do a lot of it when it comes to their payoff, taxes, insurance, because I just want that to be on them.
Okay. And I am playing a game. This is gamified for me.
Yeah.
I want to see how close I get to the net of our eventual sales price.
Right.
And I can very easily figure out the taxes.
Yeah.
Because I pull a tax bill when I go to my pre-listing.
Sure.
So I'm like, I'll just do it. But I also trying to guess how long it's going to be on the market.
Yeah.
This is all, for me, I have gotten the seller net at my listing appointment within dollars.
Wow.
And I pride myself on that because I'm doing the legwork to figure out what I think these things are going to be, how long it's going to be on the market, blah, blah, whatever.
And I think too, like, so on here, we have seller closing costs.
Yeah.
I had a situation one time where we got a closing disclosure. This was probably back in like 2014.
Okay.
I have no idea if I was doing a net sheet then. Probably not. Okay. And I was also newer to working with sellers.
Yeah.
In 2013, 2014. We get the closing disclosure. Everything looks good.
Okay.
And my seller is like, I said I wasn't paying any closing costs. And I didn't understand what he was talking about. I said, oh, well, I know you're not paying any buyer closing costs. These are seller closing costs. Well, I didn't agree to pay that. I said, well, that's what the title company charges to close out your house and cancel your mortgage and do the paper. Like, he had a hard time understanding that there's buyer closing cost and seller closing cost.
Right.
And just so y'all know, I got my seller closing cost number from a local title attorney that I trust.
Yes.
I usually email her like once a year and just say, hey, is this about how much a seller should expect? Give me, and I do tell her, give me the higher end of the range.
Yeah.
I always want to overestimate
What is your current number? Do you know?
It's about $400 right now.
Okay. So from when I started, I used to put 300 there.
Yes, me too.
Then I was 350 for a long time.
Yes.
Now I put 500 because it's always less.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I just want to make sure that they know what we're prepared for. So 500, I'm not having to look that up every time. I'm always putting 500 in the seller blank.
Me too. Yeah, on that line.
Okay. And then obviously your commission blank changes based on what you've negotiated with the seller.
Yep.
So, or whatever your fee is, you fill that in correctly. HOA dues is the only one that I ask them at the listing appointment. Like, hey, do you have outstanding dues? Do you most of the time I'm leaving that blank in the listing appointment. And then the loan payoff, same thing. Maybe they told me on the phone. Maybe they tell me in person. Or a lot of times I will actually pick my price, put in all these blanks except for the loan payoff, and I'll do the math up to that and leave it here and then be like, it's this minus your payoff.
Right.
You find out your payoff.
Yeah.
That is the only thing you have to push on them. Like, I can't look that up.
I think the importance of every time I send an offer to a seller, having the net sheet formula available for them.
Yeah.
It is, at the end of the day, it is sent to them so many times that by the time we get to closing, it is impossible for them to be surprised.
Yeah, I was told what my costs were.
Yes.
Over and over and over again. Yeah, I think that's great. The one last thing I want to talk about is filling in this sales price blank. If I'm comping out this property before I've been there, which is typically the case, I'm picking a price based on what I think the condition is going to be or what they've told me.
Yeah. When
I get there, I might have to change this price, but it's very easy for me to do all that math and be like, oh, I'm going to add 10,000 this price or subtract 10,000 from this price and then just fix the math.
Yeah.
At the bottom.
Sure.
I don't want to sit there on my calculator doing all the math.
Yeah.
That's just how I want to do it. I want it to be easy for me to figure out. So that's what works for my brain. That's what I do.
Have you ever just been totally off with the number you put there?
Oh, yeah. One time I went with it all filled out, like what I thought. And then
Before seeing the house.
Before I saw the house. And then the house, it was like a time capsule. Like it had never been updated and I just was like,
no, this is
listen, this number here was based on these comparables, which had all of these renovated kitchens and this and that and the other. And your house is basically 1985. So it's way off. But it actually worked out with that seller. I'm like, you could put in some money and it be this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to take that much money.
Right.
But if you list it, it's going to be like $250. If you do it, it's going to be like $400. Like,
jeez.
It was a big difference. And then I ended up actually kind of orchestrating their renovation before they listed it.
Yeah.
And then they bought their own house.
I remember.
And then they bought their own house because they were heirs.
Mm-hmm.
They paid me. Both sides.
I remember this.
That was wild. So that was the only time I was ever way off.
Yeah.
Like, just like, whoa, this is not right at all. And then again, sign the bottom. That's the whole net sheet.
Yeah.
For your sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else?
I was going to answer this question in the end, but while we're in sellers, like one of the things I like to remind sellers too is like keeping their focus where it needs to be. And then in this market or in a market where buyers are making low offers and sellers are so afraid, like, what if we get super low offers? Like reminding them, hey, every offer we get, we are going to do a net sheet.
Yeah.
And you don't have to take any offer you don't want to take.
Yeah.
We will counter to get your net where you need it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, they weren't our buyer.
Yeah.
So using this net sheet as a way to help remind them that they're in control. They don't have to take anything they don't want to take. And don't just focus on one term of the purchase agreement that's frustrating you. Focus on the whole. What does this picture get you?
Yeah, I will say that in the listing appointment, this is the one document that I am deep diving. I am going through line by line. And then when we get to the end and there's a total approximate there, I say, is this what you were expecting? Mm-hmm. It's a very important question. Is this what you were expecting? Because we need to deal with the objections on seller closing cost or concessions or any of this stuff now.
Yeah.
Before we put it on the market.
Yeah.
Are you listening to this episode and realizing you need a seller net and a buyer cost sheet?
Well, good news. We are releasing ours for the first time during the Black Friday week of deals.
So mark your calendars for Wednesday, November 26th to grab yours.
Don't let your clients be surprised by the numbers. They will thank you for it.
All right, shall we move on to the buyer cost sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. Interestingly, I think it was when we had Harrison on.
Yeah, it was.
He brought this up. And it was very eye-opening because I had never done a buyer cost sheet.
No. We have our email template about congratulations on being pre-approved.
Yeah.
And it does tell them about some costs they will need to expect.
Yep.
But I love the idea of having it on a sheet like this.
Very clear.
So clear. Mm-hmm. You see the money.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of words. It's just money.
Yeah. And then we've learned that people have to do, some states are now requiring this document or have always. And I was like, oh, you don't say. Okay. So do you want to walk them through what's on a buyer cost sheet?
Yeah. So I see at the top here, we have offer price.
Okay.
Followed by realtor commissions, followed by closing costs and prepaids, attorney fees, appraisal, inspections, deposit, down payment. And then it's the total cost of what it would be to buy a home.
Okay. And you're running this based on the number they've been approved for and have talked with their lender about that they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's giving you the numbers for all these different lines?
The lender.
All of them?
Well, my inspector will help me out. And then appraisals have been changing on price as well. So again, I always like to estimate a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But I just have those there. And then the closing costs are going to depend on their loan amount.
Yeah.
So you can't fill out the closing cost section until they're pre-approved and you know what loan type they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's important that you are involving the lender. And this is where it would be a good time to go back to listen to episode 232 about the buyer consultation.
Yeah.
Because we really deep dive into having these conversations with your buyer the main point of this episode today is to make sure that you are at least using a net sheet and a cost sheet with your buyers and your sellers and having the money conversations with them.
Correct.
But the biggest thing that we need to know is how much money do you need to bring to the closing table?
Right.
How much money?
Right.
If they don't have that much money, that lets us know when we write offers, we have to ask the seller to pay
is what you need
this amount.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you need to know your numbers when you're working with your buyer, because I learned this the hard way when I was brand new. If you ask for the seller to pay $10,000 towards their closing costs, and the seller says yes, and the closing costs only come out to $7,000.
Yeah.
You have lost
$3,000.
$3,000.
Back in the seller's pocket.
Yeah, you could have gotten that off the price because the seller was willing to give it, but you asked for way more than you needed.
Yep.
So being mindful of knowing how much. And when I have a buyer who is ready to write an offer, the first thing I do is I email that listing to their lender and say, hey, Susie's ready to make an offer on this house.
Yeah.
We're going to offer $300,000. Can you tell me how much I need to ask for in closing costs and prepaids on this house specifically? She sends me back a number. I write the offer. So knowing your numbers, especially for the buyer cost sheet, is so important.
Yeah. When you're filling this out for your buyer before you found a house, just in your buyer consult, what number are you? So you're just basically going offer price is their pre-approval, $300,000. Okay. Then you're putting in whatever you charge for commission that you've agreed to in your BBA or in the middle of agreeing to. Then you put in your closing costs and prepaids. How do you figure out that number? Are you doing a percentage of their, or are you just asking the lender?
I do ask my buyers to give me a fees worksheet from their lender so I can make sure they're not being charged for point buy downs without realizing it, or does anything look off?
Right.
So I am getting it from their fees worksheet.
Okay. So it's got all of their closing costs and prepaids on there.
Yeah, it's all itemized.
And then you're doing your attorney fee from the lender as well?
Yeah, on the fees worksheet,
it's broken out. Yeah, and so you've got that and your appraisal. Inspection you get straight from your inspector.
Yeah.
What number are you currently putting in your inspection blank?
550.
Okay. It's pretty exact.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
I haven't had them really hit 600 unless
it's big.
This is a huge house with multiple air conditioning units, which we go through. You know?
Okay. Then on deposit, what do you put in this blank? What you're seeing in the market at that time? Are you doing deposits right now?
We in Louisiana, it
feels like we've let it go.
It's almost non-existent. That would be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, for real. Okay, so there's something maybe in the deposit blank, but you can figure that out based on your market in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the down payment, they're telling you, the client, right? And then you're doing the math to get their cost.
For example, just a practical story. When I was early in my career, I worked with so many young first-time home buyers. I was 22 years old.
Right.
They were my people. We had no money and I'm helping them buy houses, and it was a really good time.
Yep.
So what we were noticing is that a lot of them were utilizing the loan programs that were 100% financing.
Okay.
And they were approved. They had strong credit, good jobs, no savings.
Okay.
So they were going with the 100% financing.
Okay.
And we had to have the seller pay all their closing costs or we could not buy the house.
Okay.
So we were basically trying to find a way to get this buyer cost to zero. When we write our offer.
Yeah.
Maybe I had like $500 to play with. But for the most part, we're trying to get this done.
Yeah.
When I was making offers, I was telling the listing agent, like, hey, listing agent, they love your home. This is our situation. If the seller doesn't pay their closing costs, we are unable to buy it. So I'm just being very upfront, very transparent with you.
Yeah.
This is their situation. And sometimes it resulted in the seller just countering ever so slightly the price and it would work out. But it was so helpful in those scenarios to make sure that I understood, like, what if I asked for $6,000 in closing costs to be paid by the seller and it was $8,500? All of a sudden, it's closing day and my buyers are like, wait, I have to bring $2,500 to closing? Well, yeah, it's $8,500 and you asked the seller to pay $6,000. Like, you do not want these surprises.
No.
And they happen.
Yeah.
We just had one happen this week.
You did?
Yeah, someone in our office. The buyer, it was sort of like a unique situation.
Okay.
But they were not prepared.
Okay.
And did not have the money they needed for closing. So.
And then what happened?
The sellers were at the closing table, and the title attorney had to tell them the buyers came to sign but did not have their check with them. So you have a right to cancel because the contract expires today, or you can give them an extension if they feel they're able to figure it out. And
the listing was in your office or the buyer?
The buyer. And they ended up giving them an extension, and it did end up closing a week later. But
they ended up getting all the money.
Yes.
Oh.
I know.
Okay.
But it didn't happen that day. So it's like this is why it's so important to understand what.
Yeah.
And every buyer is different. I've given examples about buyers who don't have any money.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a very savvy buyer who the main point for them is getting the price down as low as possible. And they would rather pay other things themselves up front instead of sort of increasing the price to get the seller to cover it. Like every buyer's goals are going to be different.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know what's important to them unless you do a cost sheet.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. The bottom of this one has disclaimers just like the bottom of the seller net sheet. Again, signing, dating, and the notes are, please note all numbers are subject to change and are simply estimates based upon the date provided. Every lender charges different fees. Please reach out to your lender for an exact closing cost number for each property. Some lenders include the appraisal fee within the closing cost. Confirm with your lender. Just like some little reminders.
You know what's really interesting? I have a few contingency situations going on right now where I have a buyer who is also a seller. And I have had to use both of these sheets together.
At the same time?
At the same time. Yeah. And like, for example, this one I have in particular, their house was on the market. We were having a little bit of a struggle selling it. It did eventually sell. But in our struggle, every time we talked about doing a price reduction, we would get out the seller net sheet and say, well, if we drop the price $10,000, that's going to bring this seller net down to this amount.
Yeah.
Is this amount enough to let you go over here to buy this house, or do we need to adjust the price range on the buyer cost
That makes
sheet?
sense.
Like this seller net sheet affects what they could do as a buyer.
Yeah, if you're doing both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very important when you are working those contingency situations that you are having the upfront conversations on how what they're getting from their house as a seller affects what they're able to do as a buyer.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's very important to talk money with your clients.
I would say, do you want to hit some of these questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before the questions, let's really quickly, what type of a pricer are you? Because when we're talking about a seller net sheet, I feel like that's the first question people are going to be like, well, how did you pick the listing price?
I'm going to be honest, and I think this is what I love about our podcast, that we don't edit things out and we don't pre-plan.
No.
I have no idea how you walk into a listing appointment with a price in that blank. There's no way I could do it. It
almost always works.
I couldn't do it.
It almost always works. But I also make adjustments to it if needed. Or I'll be like, this is the high end.
In and then scratch out 400,000 and put 250.
I've done it.
Oh my God.
But it's never been that off. Maybe in my qualifying call, I'm asking enough, or I'm seeing photos, or like, I don't know.
Just in your experience.
I have never had it be that one time. Yeah. One time in 20 years where I was like, I thought it was 4 and it was really 250.
Yeah.
One time.
Right.
All the others, it's like, I'm talking about a range of $20,000.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, look, I'm an aggressive pricer. That's what I was going to say. I'm an aggressive pricer. I want you to get as close to the top as you can without going over. And I will not, and I don't want to go over. So I'll usually have a number based on looking at the neighborhood. Like, I don't care if you're the Taj Mahal, this is the top and they were the Taj Mahal. So you're not going above the Taj Mahal.
Right.
Like, this is the nicest house in the neighborhood. If you're exactly the same, I know the number.
Right.
So I guess because I'm an aggressive pricer, then that seems to work. Or you're looking at your CMA summary and you can see the 5 houses that are listed and what all their prices are. I don't want to be the one priced above all that. So again.
So I think I like a lot of build up to the number. I don't want to be like, here's what I think.
Like, I would never do that when I walked in.
No, but like and we would have to do a whole different episode on what that price discussion looks like. I think it would be a whole episode on what that looks like in the listing appointment. Because mine, I tell them, like, I come from a family of appraisers. I know firsthand you could have 5 appraisals and everyone's going to have a different number. So if you're waiting for me to give you the magic number, that's not really what it is. But we're going to work together to figure out what that price range is.
Right.
Are you on the upper end of the price range? Are you on the lower end of the price range? It depends on how much work you have to do.
Yeah.
How clean are you willing to get this house?
I will say also in your qualifying call, if I'm asking them, what do you think it will sell? Like, what are you thinking the list price is going to be? A lot of times, if you can get that out of someone, it can guide you in what their mindset is.
Mine are usually not willing to
tell you a number. I don't know. Maybe I'm just asking it really nicely.
Directly.
I am. And look, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all if I have to cross out
usually
450.
They're like, we have no idea.
They're like, oh, no. I feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, well, my neighbor just sold for $427,500. We have to at least have $427,500. I'll be like, okay.
And I'm like, let's pull up the neighbor's house and look at the photos together.
Like, this is not the same.
I do bring my laptop and we do gather around it and look at a few things together and look at the actives and the pendings. Like, it takes about 20 minutes of us looking together and me saying, based on this data, I think we're going to be in this range.
Yeah.
Is this what you were expecting?
Right. Is this what you were expecting?
Is this what you were expecting is such an important line.
Very important.
Is this what you were
expecting? Very important.
Yeah.
My brain is just not going to work on the fly to not have even picked a price at all and do that math.
I usually have an idea in my head of what it's going to be, but
I just cannot on the fly get out my calculator and start being like, okay, well, now that we know the price is $400 and my commission is this, now I have to put that in this blank. I would literally lose it.
Yeah.
I have to have this pre-done. I can make an adjustment, no problem, but doing it from scratch, sitting there, my brain is going to get if they say I'm going to get distracted too easily.
I know. I saw you stuff envelopes earlier.
It's not going to.
I saw the distraction.
It's not going to work if I haven't pre-figured this out.
Yeah. And I have an idea, but I have got to see the house and I do like to make it collaborative with them. So.
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't. I want to tell you what it is.
No.
I don't want you to tell me what it is. Well, you still get an opinion.
I mean, I give them a range.
I give her, yes, but I'm like, I'm on the high end of my range when I put this number in the blank.
Yeah, I think that's a good disclaimer to say, I put this number here as the highest.
This is the highest. And that's what I tell them. And I also tell them that I'm conservative.
But looks like you didn't change out that carpet, so I'm going to X this out.
I have literally no problem doing that, but that's, agreed, a different conversation. But it is funny because I really don't have
no doubt in your delivery.
I'm sure it's delightful.
I have seen you handle difficult phone calls and conversations. I've heard you talk to your clients. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that when you are going over that, and look, you're successful and you don't lose your listings. So they are not firing you after the listing appointment.
I guess too, if you look at it like, I don't want your listing if it's not priced how I want it to be priced, then the qualifier makes sense. I have already looked at the market and I have determined this is the best price for your neighborhood if you're the best house.
Yeah.
Right?
I had the opposite situation happen one time and I lost the listing.
Because you had the number too high?
Way too low.
Oh, you had it too low.
And when I went to I did tell her, like, I forget how it came up, but she was an outlier for the neighborhood. And I didn't realize, and she told me on the phone, like, I have like the better house in the neighborhood. We're on the lake. We have this. And I'm going, this sounds like every other seller that tells you why they're the best house in the neighborhood.
House is so great.
So I didn't take it maybe as seriously as I should.
Uh-huh.
But I got there and was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
This is amazing. And her decor was perfect. Like, so I fumbled a little bit through the pricing conversation because it is one that didn't really have data.
Yeah.
And so when I had told her, like, originally this was what my thought was, but now I think we could go as high as, I'm just going to make up a number, 575.
Okay, but
so let's say
you went in with what?
Let's say I was like, originally I was thinking like right at 500, but now that I've been here, I really think that we could be at 575. You have so many great updates, this and that. And she's like, okay, well, I did have another agent come who mentioned that she would list it for 625. And I just kind of was like, you know, you have a very unique home that is hard to comp. I wouldn't have any data to support that price. I'm not saying the house isn't worth it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if somebody were to ask me, how did you come up with 625? I wouldn't have supporting data.
Yeah.
I'm not against trying it at 675 because your home has so many things that the comps don't have. But you would be the new data.
Yeah.
Like you would be the new highest comp in the neighborhood. And I thought the conversation went well and she wasn't like looking at me crazy. But next thing you know, I get an email, hey,
She's
Alyssa,
like,
thank you so much. I'm actually going to go with another agent. And it sold fairly quickly. I think they closed at 600.
Okay.
You know, I don't like to commit. In my head, I know. In my head, I have an idea. But I just like to get some feelers out there, see how the walkthrough goes.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. They don't know the number I have on the paper for the record.
When do you show them?
Until after the walkthrough.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
Are you ever like trying to erase it before?
Oh, I have definitely crossed it out and been like,
your house is different than I thought.
No, I don't even address that. I just cross it out and put because then I'll walk. Okay, let me just give you the order very quickly. Walk in door, walk through house. They tell me everything they want to tell me about the house. They show me everything they want to know about the house. Then we sit down for the actual presentation. I go through literally everything in my folder besides the market report and this net sheet. These two are in my folder.
Okay.
They don't even have access to them.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Tell you everything about photography and staging and all the things you need to know.
Okay.
Because they don't care about any of that. If you tell them the number, they're going to tune you out.
Okay.
Number for me has to be the very last thing.
I do save the number till the end.
Okay. So I've done all this. I've seen all this, whatever. We're talking through the folder. Then I get out the CMA. Still, they have no idea what my number is.
Okay.
Then we go through the whole market report.
Okay, good.
And I can be like, here are the notes on these. This one had a nice kitchen. This one had this. This one has this. You have this. You have this. So you're closer to this one. Based on what you told me before I came, I thought you were closest to this one.
But actually, you're this. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I get out the report, the net. And then I'm like, here's what I would list it at from what I have seen. Does that mean that sometimes I cross out that number? Yes, rarely, but yes.
Yeah. And
then we get the whole thing.
Okay. I like it.
I've never had anyone stop me and be like, well, you used to have 425 there and now you have 400. I will tell them, hey, these are the comps and your kitchen doesn't look like this kitchen. Yeah. So we're going to just make a little adjustment here.
Sure.
And then if they're really like, oh, I don't know, that's not what I was thinking. I'll be like, okay, well, what were you thinking? Well, I was thinking 425. I'm like, look, here's the 425 comp. You're not really there. We can try it with if we're going to be but I really try to push people not to try.
Right.
I'm not a trier. And I will tell them,
we don't try, we do.
I'm like, I am giving you the highest number I can. I am an aggressive pricer. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And I think that usually will give them enough confidence to be like, well, I mean, it sounds like you're not giving me the low number.
I also think pre-COVID, I was way more like firm.
Yeah, now you're just like, I don't know.
There's so many times where the market has surprised me on things that I do think that some of my listings this year in 2025 have sat a little bit longer because I have gone a little bit too high from the get-go.
Yeah.
My sellers know that we're on the high end and we'll adjust as needed.
Yeah.
But like, I think that is why.
Also, this is a really hard time because the market is on a down.
Yeah.
To go to a listing appointment and then 6 months later go back for the listing and I'll give you a perfect example. Earlier in this year, I got a sign call. Nice family comes to the showing. It's my listing, obviously. They're like, we want to write an offer. I write them an offer. It doesn't work out. Whatever. They like, look, we're really not ready to get our house ready to sell anyway because they were a move-up buyer. So we're just going to put a pin in it. We'll come back around later. At the time when we wrote the offer, their house is in a market I'm not serving right now. So I referred them to another agent to do the listings section. But I had pulled the comps. I could see them. And it was a very black and white neighborhood. Like all the houses the same.
I know data is helpful.
And I was like, look, according to this, it looks like you're at this number.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it was 315. Okay. This is where it looks like you're at. Great, whatever. Well, then they put a pin in the whole search and stop.
Okay.
I'm not listing, I'm not buying, whatever. I don't know. That was the beginning of the year. Let's call it February. Then recently, they ended up buying a house. Someone else, I'm not involved, but the agent who I referred them to still involved in the listing side.
Yeah.
So they're ready to list their house. They buy before they sell. She's like, well, the comps now say 290, maybe 300.
Oh, no.
And they were like, well, it used to be 315. And she's like, yeah, I get it, but the comps are not there anymore. And they were like, well, we still want to try. And I don't remember where they ended up listing. It's not showing. It's not selling. And she's like, listen, it really has to be 300. It can't be this old number. So like, that's the reality of it too.
Yeah.
If you're providing this data as a market is going down, you're going to have to make an adjustment. And it's very hard to deliver that news to a seller who's expecting every dollar to then buy what they bought, especially if they go off and buy what they want before they sell the other thing.
Yeah. I had to tell a contingency buyer the other day, like, I wish I could make your house sell for what you need to buy that house, but that's not what the market says it's worth.
Yeah.
So the important thing is that you're having these conversations. You are going through what they should expect at closing. The worst thing that can happen is that a buyer or a seller is surprised at what they're getting at the closing table.
Yep.
That means you have not done your job.
Yeah.
So these sheets are so important. However you need to do them, keep them documented, keep them in email, be the professional. The more you do them, the more, because someone asked us, how do I get confident talking about money? You just keep going. You fumble through it until you're fluent in it.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes easier and easier.
Yeah, even picking prices. I used to play the game with an agent in my office and be like, okay, this is the house. Now let's both come up with a price.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're close, sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
Just depends.
Well, this was good and helpful. Good reminder.
I should hope so. Okay, none of these questions we care about.
No, they're not. We answered them.
Great, perfect. All right, wonderful. Would you like a toast?
Yeah, let's do a toast.
Okay, goodbye.
Hi, my name is Heidi Brown, and I'm a realtor in Columbia, South Carolina. And I wanted to give a toast to Laura Whetstone. I am so proud of you in this real estate market the last several years, how you've grown your business, you put what you've learned into action, and you have a good, positive mindset that's going to show in the future in your journey in real estate. Congrats, Laura.
Wait, before you go, if you enjoyed this episode and if we brought you value, take a minute to rate the show, leave a review, or drop a comment.
We are giving away our best stuff for free. Find it at hustlehumblypodcast.com/freebies.
We'd also love to see you in Hustle Humbly community. Join us there at hustlehumblypodcast.com/membership.
We love chatting with you in our DMs. Find us on social media at Hustle Humbly Podcast and say hello.
If you have an episode topic or someone you'd like to toast on the show, please email us at team@hustlehumblypodcast.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly Podcast. See you next week.